What's going on, guys? Welcome back to #AskGSM here today for May 9th, 2018, episode 232 coming your way here today. If you want to send in a question, you can tweet me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant. Find me on Facebook, facebook.com/grams@gsm.matthews. Leave a question on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, be sure to drop a question down below in the comment section in this very video. I'll include it in next week's edition. So, without further ado, we got plenty of questions here today, so let's not waste any more time. Brandon A. from YouTube, he sent these in for last week. Couldn't get to him last week because I recorded on Tuesday, so my apologies, Brandon. But his questions were the following. We had a lot of Infinity War questions this week, which is like the third week in a row, and I love it because the movie was so great. And in an update from last week and the week before, I have seen it another 2 more times. I saw it last Thursday, and I saw it for a third time on Sunday. And I have not seen any movie in theaters 3 times, with the exception of Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, in 2014. And that was over the course of, I'd seen it twice in August, and then once in like October, because it was still out at the movie theater near my college. Infinity War has been out for 2 weeks now, 2 weeks, I think, as of this week. And I've already seen it 3 times. So I'm definitely going to see it a 4th time and break that record at some point in the not-so-distant future. But anyway, the movie's amazing. I'll talk more about it soon enough because I think Emmanuel actually asked a question about it. But with Brandon, his first question was, what hero character from the MCU do you think would have the best heel turn and the best heel run? Same question for MCU villain going babyface. Note, you cannot use characters like Loki, who in wrestling terms would be a tweener. You're right. That's too easy of an answer because Loki is absolutely a tweener. Best babyface in the MCU that would have a great heel run. I thought Iron Man a couple years ago, and I still think it could work. At this point, I'm not expecting it. And heads up here, this might feature spoilers for Infinity War. I mean, there's really not too many ways I can answer this question without featuring spoilers from Infinity War, so just a heads up if you haven't already seen it. But I thought Iron Man, going into Civil War, I mean, he was having that whole prophecy that the world was going to end, which ultimately came to fruition, but I thought that was what would drive him to the deep end, to going heel, so to speak, in the MCU. But I think it would be difficult for people to, quote-unquote, boo Iron Man. I'm not really sure if he'd be an effective villain. I mean, I guess he could be. His motivations could be there, but I'm not really sure people would buy into him as a bad guy. And obviously, a lot of this is based off the comics. I'm not going off the comics. I'm just purely going off the MCU here, because they've done some stuff in the MCU they didn't do in the comics, and that comes down to rights and just overall creative direction. So I'm not basing this off the comics. I don't know what happens in the comics, but I did think at one point Iron Man would have a good heel run. At this point, my prediction is that. My original prediction was that he was going to die at some point, probably in the next movie, but at this point I'm not expecting that. I do think he's going to come back to the MCU as a part-timer, so to speak, and like not maybe like Brock Lesnar wise, where he like comes back every few movies. He's not in every movie having a small role, but he is back every few movies. It doesn't have to be in every movie moving forward, but because they did tease like a wedding at the beginning of Infinity War, so I do think they'll have the payoff with that, with him and Pepper Potts at the end of Infinity War 2, Part 2, Avengers 4, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So they'll do the wedding, and then he might have, Jason was telling me he might have a kid, or he'll adopt the kid at the end of Iron Man 3, who we have not seen, I don't think, since that movie, so I find that hard to believe. But anyway, that's what Jason's theory is. I do think he will stay alive, though. Captain America will die, and Iron Man will stay alive as the part-time babyface, like the Undertaker of the MCU. Maybe make more appearances than Undertaker, but still. So that's if it's not Iron Man, then to answer your question, who would have a great heel run? Hawkeye. I know in the comics, or it was rumored at one point that Hawkeye might exact revenge for the death of his family. Like, we never saw Hawkeye in Infinity War, but I know he's going to play a pretty big role in the next one, and I love Hawkeye. I think Hawkeye is a great, underrated Avenger. But if they wanted to, I mean, I guess they have a very simple motivation there. If his family dies, if they were half of the universe that dusted away, then I could very well see Hawkeye being the one to go heel. I've seen theories that in the comics he turns into Ronan the Destroyer, Ronan from the first Guardians movie. I don't really believe that, but I think Hawkeye as a bad guy would be pretty cool. I do think he will be the one to take down Thanos, ultimately. I don't think he's going heel, but Hawkeye as a heel, we kind of saw shades of it at the beginning of the first Avengers when he was under the spell of Loki, and he's pretty badass. I like him as a babyface too, but I think Hawkeye as a heel could be really, really cool. Everyone else I think is way too likable to boo, in my opinion. Best babyface, or best heel that could have a great babyface run. There's really no one that comes to mind, to be quite honest. Red Skull, he's not really much of a babyface character, like, at all. Killmonger, from Black Panther. I mean, we're assuming that a lot of these people are still alive. Most of these people are dead. Did that bad guy from Civil War even stay alive? I'm pretty sure he's still alive, but I don't really care to see him as a babyface. Really, the only person that would work as a babyface, if we're being completely honest, would be Thanos. He's so badass, and a lot of people walked away from Infinity War liking what they did with Thanos. I mean, the guy's the ultimate dickhead in that he killed everyone, or not everyone, but half the people, and his motivations were pretty clear-cut that he wants to wipe out half the universe. I'm not really sure Thanos could make the transition over to the babyface side, but I would love to see it. I don't know how they would pull it off, but I think it'd be pretty cool. I know people have said maybe Ultron, and he can be the one to rival Thanos. I mean, I think Ultron was a good villain, but I can't really see him as a good guy, to be honest. So Thanos is really the only heel I would ever like to see go babyface in the MCU. Brandon's second question. Which wrestlers on the main roster do you still care about that you foresee giving the big cast Dolph Ziggler Bray Wyatt treatment and ranting out in the year because WWE mishandling them? Baron Corbin, probably. I like Baron Corbin. I like Bayley too, but I see both of them continuing to be mishandled by this company. And it's going to get to a point where it's like I don't really care about them per se currently, but I still do like them. It's going to get to a point, like with Ziggler, I was a big Ziggler fan. And even a couple years ago, I didn't really care about Ziggler because he wasn't doing jack shit, but I still liked him. At this point, I do not give a shit about Dolph Ziggler. Like, I would not even buy one of his t-shirts. And I have a lot of wrestling t-shirts. I have shirts for both Bayley and Corbin, but I'm not sure that could be the case in a year. Just the way they've been booked, so start and stop, and I don't know. I'm not a fan. I do think Bayley and Corbin could fall into that category. Bray Wyatt, he's one of those guys that just don't give a shit about anymore. But at least the Woken stuff is entertaining, and the guy's a babyface now, so that's a step in the right direction. Big Cass just sucks. I mean, Dolph Ziggler's got the start and stop pushes and stuff that I don't really care about him for, but at least the guy's still a good wrestler. Big Cass just isn't really that good. On the mic, he's getting better. In the ring, the guy is still mediocre at best. Which is why, I mean, Big Cass was not mishandled. He just is not any good. So I don't really, your classification there of people I don't care about really isn't accurate, because I care about, or don't care about those people for different reasons. Big Cass is just, I don't give a shit about him. The same reason I don't care about Primo and Epico Cologne. Because they're just, not that they're not good, but who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Like, who else is, like, not really that good that I don't really give a shit about? Jinder Mahal. I don't care about Jinder Mahal, not because he's been mishandled, but because he's just not that good. Ziggler is very good. He's just been mishandled to death over the last 5, 6, 7 years. Anyway, Bayley and Corbin I could see falling into that category. Bayley I'm already on the edge with. I mean, I love Bayley, but it's like, they're not giving me they're not doing me any favors here. They're not doing her any favors with their booking, and they're not giving me any reason, or any real reason to care about her at this point in time. And Corbin, the same thing. The guy's been spinning his wheels for close to a year now. Ever since he failed the Money in the Bank cash-in was a failure, so I could very well see myself not giving a shit about either one of those at some point in time in the next year. His third question, push, repackage, release. Roman Reigns, John Cena, and Brock Lesnar. I know people are going to hate me for this, but you got to push Lesnar. I'd release Cena. I mean, it's really a toss-up. It's very debatable who still means more to the company, John Cena or Brock Lesnar. You could probably say John Cena, but I think Lesnar, if he's going to be around in the company, he has to be a top star. He can't just be around, you know what I mean? So I'd have to push Lesnar. Maybe not at the World Championship level, but I would still push Lesnar. When has he ever not been pushed, you know? But I would release Cena and repackage Roman Reigns. I mean, I would push Roman Reigns, but the guy sucks as a babyface, so I'd repackage him into a heel. Push, repackage, release. I mean, I guess you could say Cena or Reigns. You can intertwine them and say, oh, Cena can go heel too, but Roman Reigns has many more years left in him. regardless of whether you like him or not, has many more years left in him compared to John Cena. Push, repackage, release AJ Styles, Braun Strowman, and Seth Rollins. This is a tough one. I mean, they're all very valuable to the company. They're all super hot right now. I put release Rollins here. I mean, I pushed AJ Styles. I feel like he is the MVP of this company. But it's like, does he have many more years left is the thing. I think Seth Rollins might have more time left in his career than AJ. I'd repackage Strowman into more of a badass. I mean, I think the guy is doing fine just as he is. Maybe turn him... I wouldn't turn him heel again. I don't know. I just repackaged Strowman. Rollins, I mean, I think he has more... It's really more a matter with these three guys who has the most time left in their career. Obviously, Strowman. And the guy can be a big star for years to come. If they give him a fucking world title at some point. But anyway. With AJ and Rollins, you got to push one and release the other. There's no way around it. I still say AJ is one of the best in the world right now, and Rollins is on such a roll, so I hate to say it, but I'm going to push Styles, repackage Strowman, and release Rollins. And his next question here, everyone wants Roman to go heel, including me and you. People also want Ambrose to go heel when he comes back. People also want Rude to go heel. People also want Balor to go heel. When Jason Jordan comes back, he should be a full-blown heel. How in the hell would that work if WWE actually went with that? Why is everyone going heel always the solution? How about the writers, the bookers, and producers actually create compelling baby faces? What a concept. First of all, that is my line. Don't steal it. Just kidding. Because those people would be better off as heels. There's so many people that are miscast on Raw right now. First of all, that's the entire Raw roster you're talking about for the most part. They need strong heels on Raw. Baron Corbin's a good heel. I do agree they do need to write some of their heels better. Jinder just sucks. I don't care about Jinder at the main event level. I don't care about Jinder at the mid-card level. Jinder just is not any good at all. He bores me to tears. So writing him better and strapping a rocket to the back of Mahal does nothing for me. Corbin, on the other hand, I think people gave up on a while ago, but I still think Corbin has potential. The guy's good. He's not great. I think he's good. If they give him the time to, establish his character and allow him to cut the same promos he was cutting on Talking Smack not too long ago, really about like a year ago at this point, year and a half, then I think he can be something special. I really do think Corbin can be a star in this company if booked the right way. So you aren't wrong when you say, they need to, you're talking about baby faces here, compelling baby faces. But they've tried with these people. Some of these people just do not work as heels. You also failed to mention Lashley, who would be better off as a heel too. Balor, you're not wrong in saying that people want Balor to go heel, but it's not a vast majority. I've only seen a select few people say, oh my god, Balor would be better off as a heel. You are right, they can book Balor better, but the guy, he doesn't need to go heel. That's not the solution. You're right. Writing him better, booking him better, would be a far better solution than just turning him heel. You're correct. Roman, though, what more can they do? They've literally tried pretty much everything under the sun with this guy as a babyface. People just do not like Roman Reigns. It's not going to work. They need to turn Roman Reigns. Dean Ambrose can work as a babyface. We've known that from his work in the past. We know that for a fact. But the guy is also extremely stagnant as a babyface. So that's long overdue. Jason Jordan, you're right, should be a full-blown heel. I don't see why he should be a face when he comes back. So Balor doesn't need to go heel. Rude should go heel. I think Rude is a far more comfortable heel than he is as a babyface. He's just not a good face. At least not in WWE. The guy's been bland as old shit over the last year and on the main roster. I like Bobby Roode still, but it's like he was killing in NXT as a heel. Why bother? I don't know. I don't see the point in keeping him as a babyface. But no, what do you mean create compelling babyfaces? Dude, Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins. What the fuck are you talking about? They are the two hottest stars in the entire company. So I don't want to hear the argument that they don't have any good baby faces. Maybe with these people, Bobby Roode does nothing for me as a face. Roman needs to go heel. I don't even want to hear you say that he should stay face. Because you said you want to see him heel too. Anyone who says, they should just book Roman, but no. They've booked Roman better, quote unquote, for like 5 years now. They're not doing this guy any favors. The whole rumor that they're booking him like Daniel Bryan to build up sympathy is one of the most laughable things I've heard in a long time. So that's not going to work. Dean Ambrose, I mean, if he comes back as a face, it's fine, but they got to give the guy some shit to do. So you are right with some of the people you mentioned, that they could be booking them better and writing them better and creating a compelling babyface out of him, but he's another guy that you know is just itching to go heel. Because he's another natural heel. And that comes down to the company. When you put all these natural heels on the same show, I mean, right now they need heels. The babyface side is fine. They have plenty of babyfaces. Especially with Rollins and Strowman, they are perfectly fine. That's really all you need, because those guys are great and they're super over right now. Lashley needs a heel turn. The guy is just floundering beyond belief. And he can work as a face, but I think he would thrive as a heel, like he did in TNA. Jordan, I don't really see him being a top star anyway. You are right, he should go heel. They have Elias on the heel side. The heels aren't terrible, they just need to be booked better. It's not really creating compelling baby faces is the problem for the Raw brand. They need to create compelling heels for the Raw brand, which is why so many people are saying that those people should go heel. Balor, he should stay face, I agree. But on the heel side, you have what? Jinder? Who gives a shit? Baron Corbin? Who gives a shit? You got lost to No Way Jose last week, one-on-one. Who else do we have? Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn? Kevin Owens has won one televised match all year against Dolph fucking Ziggler on SmackDown back in February. Who cares? Who cares? When Strowman and Lashley beat Owens and Zayn, you could hear a pin drop in the arena on Sunday. That's how little people cared about that match, and the fact that Owens and Zayn were losing again. And the whole teasing tension thing, we've seen it a million times. It's really difficult to care about people like that when all they do is lose. That's all they do is lose. Both Sami and Owens. It's ridiculous. So it goes both ways. Yes, they can book them as better baby faces when it comes to, Balor or Ambrose. Roman needs to go heel. Lashley needs to go heel. Jordan should be back anytime now as a heel. And Bobby Roode should go heel. And forget about fucking Jinder and pushing him. Jinder and Roman Reigns, are you kidding me? Give me a break. That sounds like the cure for insomnia. Who cares? So the Raw brand has some work to do when it comes to creating baby faces, compelling baby faces, and heels. Joe M. from YouTube, although I wouldn't quite say they're the two biggest flops in NXT to the main roster transitions, I would say the Ascension are. Easily, not even close. I think it's safe to say that Tyler Breeze and Bo Dallas have certainly been disappointing on the main roster since most thought they were destined for big things after leaving NXT. Who do you think had the higher ceiling after leaving NXT, and who do you think has had the more disappointing main roster run so far? First of all, I don't know how many people were saying Bo Dallas was going to be a big star in the main roster. I don't know where you're getting that from. Tyler Breeze, yes. I don't know if Tyler Breeze was going to become world champion, but I do think people had higher hopes for the guy than fucking Breezango. Bo Dallas was always a comedy character. He worked in NXT because he started out as a babyface and people just grew to hate him. And he had the whole 15 and Bo, 16 Bo shit going on in the main roster where he was like undefeated for like a month or two. And that was kind of cool. But beyond that, Bo Dallas was never going to become a big star because the guy's just really not that good. He's entertaining. And I'm glad he's still doing the thing with Axel because they work well together. But Bo Dallas was never going to become anything more than, at best, a mid-card guy. I always joked maybe a John Cena feud would be cool because Bo Dallas was kind of like the John Cena of NXT where people, like he endeared himself to the audience but people hated his guts. He was basically John Cena down there in the whole cheesy smile. But they didn't go in that direction. They had him lose to fucking R-Truth and it's been all downhill for the guy ever since. So Bo Dallas, I don't know where you're getting the whole big things he's destined for in the main roster thing because he really wasn't. I know he was NXT champion down there for like 8 months, but when he got called up, I don't think people expected him to go too far, just because in the ring, the guy is mediocre at best. Very average. It was really his character work that got him over, and that wasn't going to translate just as well to the main roster as it did in NXT. Tyler Breeze has definitely been the bigger disappointment so far. Not even close. A lot of great matches in NXT with Neville, Sami Zayn, Jushin Thunder Liger, and so many others. And the guy went on to do nothing on the main roster whatsoever. They had that one-off feud with Dolph Ziggler where he won one match at Survivor Series, and that was it. And they just abandoned ship after that. And the guy's a lot better than they give him credit for. At this point, people just don't care. He's been here for 2.5 years. He's been cast off as an enhancement talent. So I think the time to push Tyler Breeze has come and gone. I think there's really no chance he ever really gets that push. I think a lot of us were expecting that he would get when he got called up to Raw or SmackDown. But still, he's been a much bigger flop. Not the biggest flop, but because Breezango has gotten over, but Breeze should have been much more than what he was, because the guy's a great worker, and he was a big star in NXT. And even in NXT, they never really did much with him. He lost a lot. I mean, maybe not early on, but like towards the end of his run there, he was losing to Apollo Crews, he was losing to Samoa Joe, he was losing to everyone down there. So, I mean, the guy, I know he was like a stepping stone, but that's really the role that he had down there, was a stepping stone. Was never going to be an NXT champion, as much as we wanted him to be. But yeah, Breeze has by far been the bigger disappointment on the main roster compared to Bo Dallas. Joe's second question: if you could live out your day with the abilities, or let me start over. If you could live out your day-to-day life with the abilities of any character that's ever existed in the MCU, who would you choose, and would you choose to keep the abilities a secret? Good question. I mean, I was thinking of all the Avengers and all the MCU characters last night and thinking, like, who would have the coolest superpower? Definitely Doctor Strange if he could turn back time, or like, I mean, Ant-Man would be pretty cool to kind of shrink down, but do I really want to shrink down? I mean, I don't know. I really would not want to see all the ants on my floor and shit like that, to be quite honest with you. I know, no pun intended, I know he's an ant, but you know what I'm saying. Ant-Man would be kind of cool. I would go with Doctor Strange with all the magical wizardry I know he has, so with all that stuff, with or without the time bending stuff, would also be pretty cool if he still has the time stone. Currently he does not. But just the powers he has in general would be pretty cool. Seeing every possible outcome and having to prevent it and all that other kind of stuff. I think Doctor Strange would be pretty awesome. A lot of abilities, but would be a little overwhelming at times, but it would still be pretty cool. Now, would I keep it a secret? Probably. If anything, I would tell like a few select people. But I think if it was public to the world, then people would be asking me to do this and to do that and to save the world. I really have no interest in saving the world. I really only have interest in using my powers for my own benefit. So, sorry, not sorry, but I would probably tell a few people, but even that's stretching it. I would probably just keep it a secret, to be honest. Those powers are way too powerful just to share with everyone else. I'm sorry, I'm keeping it to myself. Joe's next question: I didn't see the TM61 cheating victory over the Street Profits coming, but if they are going for a heel turn, it has me both excited and worried for them. Excited because it could be the best thing for them right now, since they weren't really doing anything of note, and worried because I feel like it may just be being done to fill the heel enhancement talent role left by Sabatelli and Moss by their split. How do you think it will work out for them? They had to do something with these guys. I love Team 6-1. They had been doing nothing since they came back. They lost in the Dusty Classic, and that was it. So I'm glad they are seemingly doing something. You are right that it does make me kind of worried with the Sabatelli and Moss split that they need another enhancement heel tag team, and they don't really have many of those. So I hope they are better than that, because they are really, 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 really good. But I guess they could also have the Ely brothers. They suck, but they do have the Ely brothers if they want to have a jobber tag team. So I don't think they'll be at the very bottom of the division. But just the fact they're doing anything with these guys at all is a step in the right direction. On the babyface side, I think they would have been overshadowed anyway, and they have been overshadowed by, Authors of Pain got called up, but they have the Street Profits, they have Heavy Machinery, they have War Raiders, they have Team 6-1. They needed to turn one of those teams heel. So you might as well turn Team 6-1 heel. So I'm fine with that. Hopefully it leads to a good series of matches, and it gives both teams something to do for the foreseeable future. His next question: assuming Seth Rollins is still Intercontinental Champ when they both return, which potential feud over the title intrigues you more? One with Jason Jordan or one with Dean Ambrose? That's a good question. I think both I'm looking forward to. I think the Jason Jordan one can be cool. Like, we should have been tag team partners. And Rollins like, dude, yeah, kind of fucked me over and getting hurt. And Jason Jordan did kind of cost the team the titles when they were still together. So they could play off of that. But the matches should be good. They had, I think, one match last year, if I'm not mistaken, on Raw. And it was pretty good. So if they have a series of matches over the title, that could be pretty cool. The Dean Ambrose feud I'm more intrigued for. I know we've seen it a million times, but I'm just really excited to see Ambrose as a heel. I'm not saying it's going to happen when he comes back, but I think you'd be missing the boat if you didn't do that when Ambrose got back. It's like, dude, we were on top of the world as a tag team. What are you doing this whole singles thing for? And then Ambrose goes heel because he's jealous. I like that idea way more than, Jordan and Rollins works too, but I like Ambrose and Rollins a lot more. Again, we've seen it a million times, but not with Rollins as the babyface and Ambrose as the heel. Maybe in FCW, not on the main roster. So if it leads to an Ambrose heel turn, that could be real interesting. Emmanuel A. from YouTube, since you seem to be recommending the film heavily, let me ask you something. I'm a lapsed superhero fan who has only seen 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 3 films, Captain America Civil War and Black Panther. Everything I've heard about Avengers Infinity War has so far indicated that it's for hardcore MCU fans who are already familiar with and invested in every character, while casual people who have not seen all 18 previous films or just don't have an emotional connection to the franchise will not get as much out of it. I've heard you say that everyone should see it anyway, so tell me then, as someone who has not felt truly motivated yet, why should I really care to go see Avengers Infinity War, Avengers 3, whatever the fuck? Because it's a great movie. And it's not just a great superhero movie. I was talking to someone else about this recently, but it's a lot like with The Dark Knight Rises, or Dark Knight, just period. I did not see Batman Begins. It's another case where I think the movies mean more if you followed all 3. I only saw Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. I did not see Batman Begins. I really had no desire to see Batman Begins. I mean, granted, that's one movie. This is like 18 you're talking about here. But the reason I bring that up is because The Dark Knight was just a great fucking movie. It was a great movie. And everything that you needed to know that you weren't like familiar with, like the backstories of each character, they tell you enough in this movie to catch you up to date. Like Avengers in a nutshell, they sum up by even mentioning that it was Thanos who sent Loki to Earth to invade New York City back in the first Avengers movie. They reference that and several other plot points that are important to the story they're telling in Infinity War. So if you feel like you're missing out or like, oh, I need to go back and watch every movie, I mean, you should. I think you'd appreciate it more if you did, or at least most of them, at least the important ones like Avengers 1 or Guardians or Civil War. You saw Civil War, you're already ahead of the curve, my friend. You're already ahead of everyone else. Black Panther, you don't need to see, but it does give you a good introduction to his character in Wakanda, which plays a pretty big role in this movie. Thanos, it's not like, oh my god. I mean, again, he's been teased in the MCU for a while now, but this was our real first introduction of the Thanos character, was in Infinity War. I think he plays a great villain. Whether you've seen the other 18 movies or not, you don't have to have seen them to agree that Thanos is an amazing villain. Just the story they tell, the comedy, here's a prime example, okay? First of all, the movie was really entertaining because the Guardians mixed with Tony Stark and Doctor Strange and Thor, they just have a lot of great chemistry and camaraderie and just, they work well together on screen. But here's a prime example. I've seen the movie a few times now by this point, 3 times, with a number of people who have not followed every single MCU movie ever. They've maybe seen Thor Ragnarok, maybe Black Panther, and a few of the other recent ones. I mean, again, Phase 3, even if you haven't seen the Phase 3 movies, it doesn't really matter. You say you haven't seen the Phase 3 movies. You've only seen 2 of the... Have you seen any of the other ones? Like, have you seen the original Iron Man? Like, if you have, then you're all set. You're better than almost everyone else. But you really do not need to see the other movies. Again, you'd appreciate it more. And you're right, hardcore fans get more out of the movie because we've been following it since the start. For most of us. I've only really been following it since Avengers 1 back in 2012, but I have gone back and watched the other movies. And I had already seen Avengers, or the Iron Man movies, and Captain America, and whatever the hell else. But it's still just a great movie in general. So that's why the movie's just fucking good. I really can't say anything more than that without offering more spoilers, which I did earlier. But I think just the movie in general is just really, really good. A great villain, a lot of great entertaining moments, memorable moments, some awesome entertainment between the characters. And there's a lot of characters, but I think they balance it out pretty well. Perfectly balanced, as Thanos would say. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on Avengers, where I just feel like it's a great movie. You don't have to be a superhero fan to enjoy Avengers. I'm not saying you will love it. I'm not saying if you hate it, I'm going to hate you for life. Like, who cares? If you don't like it, then I don't give a shit. But I'm just saying that I still think you will enjoy the movie, even though you have not seen most of the MCU films. Like I said, dude, you're already ahead of the curve. If you've seen Civil War, which was like one of the biggest movies you should have seen before this one, you're good. Really, honestly, you're good. And Black Panther is just the icing on the cake. So if that's all you've seen, I would still recommend that you go see Infinity War. If you're one of those people, it's like, oh, I'm not going to go see it because everyone's talking about it. Well, like, fuck you, first of all. I'm not saying that to you, Emmanuel, just in general. But it's like, oh, I'm a hipster just because everyone likes it. I'm not going to go see it. Like, okay, first of all, dude, fuck you. You're not cool. Second of all, you might enjoy it. I'm not saying you will, But I think if you enjoy action movies and if you enjoy being entertained, then you should like Infinity War. Captain Sunshine from YouTube. One particular problem I had with Backlash is that it highlighted how similar WWE matches are put together. Slow start, dive, submission hold, finisher attempt, etc. There's something not right with a Nakamura-Styles grudge match having the same tempo as a standard Orton-Hardy match. Not to mention the overuse of knee tweaks, as Seth Rollins, Nia Jax, Jeff Hardy, Big Cass, and Charlotte Flair all did some variation of the knee tweak as a transition spot. Charlotte's was even the finish of her match. Do all WWE matches blend together? I don't know about all, but most. You're absolutely right. They absolutely do. Most of them follow the same formula, the same like, oh, I get hurt, like a slow start, oh, someone gets hurt, work over the body part, and that's it. I know most wrestling matches are fairly formulaic in that regard, but the WWE matches in general are just, not to say that they're bad, but a lot of them are very cookie cutter. Just exactly, again, they're good, but it's like they could be so much more if they broke away from that formula. With Miz and Rollins, that was unlike any other match I've seen in at least a month on WWE TV. Because they just went for different false finishes, and it was exciting, and they kept you engaged, even though the outcome was super predictable. So they only really do that for like one match on the card. Everything else is just, basic match. Very, very predictable, very average, very bland. But you're right, maybe not all, but most WWE matches blend together. They definitely do. Their second question. What's the deal with AJ Styles championship matches? The U.S. title series with Kevin Owens was underwhelming, and that was chalked up to silly finishes and Shane McMahon. The Jinder Mahal matches were weak, and that was chalked up to Jinder. Now, though, he's wrestled Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWE title at WrestleMania and had 2 rematches with heel Nakamura, and it's also not that good. Has the reputation of AJ Styles surpassed the actual performer? I gotta disagree with that last part. The matches, I think, have been very good. I think you're, So here's my thought on the Nakamura thing. I think you're misjudging it a bit. You're right, they didn't really reach the mark I think they could have, the AJ Nakamura matches, especially the WrestleMania one, but they were still very good matches. I still thought they were great matches. I thought the Backlash match was awesome. I thought it was a fantastic match, up until the dumb finish. But still, they had a great match before that. They told a good story, and it was violent with the chairs and shit, with it being no DQ. So I gotta disagree with you. They're also not that good. I don't know what again, you might be setting your hopes a little too high. Most people are with their series of matches. But still, I still think the matches are very, very good. You're just holding them to a high standard, I would say. As many people are, you're not alone. The Owens feud, I know they work well together because they had a lot of great TV matches back in 2016. So it's not that they don't have chemistry. I am in the camp that agrees that with the silly finishes and the dumb Shane McMahon stuff, it took away from the actual match. And the feud underwhelmed as a result. And the Jinder Mahal matches, they weren't weak. They were the best Jinder matches I've ever seen. They weren't classic main event matches. The Jinder match on SmackDown was one of the better SmackDown matches I had seen in some time on WWE TV. So I don't know if they were weak. Again, everything is subjective, but it's really your own opinion as to whether they were good or bad. You might have thought Rollins and Miz was terrible on Sunday. That's really up to you. I don't think the reputation of AJ surpassed the actual performer. They're all different scenarios. The Nakamura matches, they just really weren't what they should have been. And they've had amazing matches before, so it's not like, oh, they just don't have the chemistry. No, they had an amazing match in Japan. And that's fucking Japan. So you got to expect that they're not going to be as good, but at least come close. And I thought the Backlash match did up until the terrible finish. But still, I thought, the Jinder matches weren't bad. The Owens matches weren't bad. I think people just kind of set their standards a little too high, set their expectations a little too high for some of these feuds. But you go back to other AJ matches. The Shane McMahon match was fucking amazing at WrestleMania 33. It was a great match. Probably the best match of the night at WrestleMania 33. Much better than anyone had ever anticipated. The John Cena matches were great. Some of the matches he had with Sami Zayn a few months ago were fantastic. They just got to give the guy a right opponent and not mar the matches with dumb finishes. So I do not think the AJ champion matches, I do not think the AJ Styles championship matches are as big of a problem as you kind of paint them out to be in your question. How did Bobby Lashley's sit-down interview on Raw manage to be so awkward yet so boring? The dude spent the entire time yelling or telling old grandpa stories about his sisters abusing him before giving the most uncomfortable I love you to a camera ever. Yeah, I'm not really sure what that was. I liked it just because it gives us a chance to get to know Bobby Lashley, but the delivery, it felt scripted, first of all. But at least they're doing something with the guy, other than just going out there and being Braun Strowman's little buddy. So I do appreciate that, the approach. The actual execution of it could have been better, I agree. That was weird. And like I said earlier, Lashley should be a heel anyway, so that's just my 2 cents. And their last question here, are Seth Rollins' IC title open challenges going to be what AJ Styles' US title open challenge should have been? A workhorse who isn't a bulletproof commodity like John Cena was, being given believable fights by everyone and anyone, letting him look like a badass fighting champion, and letting his opponent look better for hanging with one of the hottest guys in the company. I hope so. The AJ Open Challenge, you're right, should have been what that was. We didn't get that, but I hope that's what this turns out to be. Because I think Rollins having an open challenge with the role that he's been on recently could be great TV. So I'm all for it. Even the Mojo Rawley match. I mean, I don't really care about Mojo Rawley, but I think Rollins got the best match he possibly could out of Mojo Rawley. So I do like the idea of Rollins working with these guys, a guy like a Mike Kanellis or a Zack Ryder, or even a Jason Jordan when he comes back, and a few others. I don't know about Jinder Mahal, but like a Baron Corbin, I think those matches could be pretty good. So, yeah, I do think the IC Open title challenge, whatever, the Intercontinental Championship Open, US Open, IC Open, whatever the fuck you want to call it, can be exactly what the AJ Styles US Open should have been last year. Mark S. from Facebook, his first question was, considering how Shane McMahon usually has 1 to 2 matches a year, is there anyone on the SmackDown roster you would like to see him face? And what would you think of a Shane McMahon versus Miz match, or a Shane McMahon versus Samoa Joe match? The Shane Miz match I thought would have been a good fit for WrestleMania last year, when they were teasing Miz and Bryan, and I thought they would never clear Bryan. Ultimately, they did, and Bryan versus Miz is the real money match, not Miz and Shane. But to kind of serve as Bryan's surrogate, I thought Shane would be the one to face Miz at WrestleMania. Obviously, never ended up coming to fruition. We got Shane and AJ instead, which was probably far better. So at this point, though, Shane and Miz really does not interest me at all. Not to say it wouldn't be a good match, but at this point, I'm really kind of done with Shane as an in-ring competitor. There's really no match. I thought a Shane Owens match would be cool, and they dragged that feud out for much longer than they needed to. So I'm good on a Shane Miz match. Shane and Samoa Joe. If Samoa Joe beats the shit out of him and just kills Shane, then maybe. Otherwise, I really have no interest. His second question, considering how a lot of fans did not like Backlash, what did you think made it a bad show, and would it make the list as one of your worst pay-per-views ever, or is that very harsh? So I did put together a video last year on the YouTube channel of like my top 7 least favorite pay-per-views since 2008. Not of all time, because there's a lot of shows I just don't care about that I wasn't a fan for. I'm just talking about pay-per-views I was a fan for dating back a decade ago. So pay-per-views, was it one of the worst pay-per-views? Easily the worst pay-per-view of 2018, like that's not even a question. Was it one of my least favorite pay-per-views ever? Not really. I mean, it was not a good show. The show sucked. Let's face it. But I think what made it different, though, was that I did not waste my Sunday night watching it. I wasted my Monday watching it. But then again, Battleground 2013 was the same way. I did not watch that live. I watched it the next day, and I still say that was one of the worst shows I've ever seen. There was something different with Backlash, maybe because the opener was so good. But then Battleground 2013 also had that great tag team match between Shield and the Rose Brothers. But I don't know, I just did not walk away like as angry about Backlash as many other people did. I'm not denying that it sucked. The show was terrible. But I didn't walk away from that show being angry. I was just kind of like, The hype for the show really was not that good to begin with, but definitely a terrible show. I think I saw someone say, might have been Brian Alvarez of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. I think I saw him say on Twitter on Monday or something, or on Tuesday, though, Backlash is officially one of my least liked pay-per-view in my 31 years of watching wrestling. I don't know if I would go that far. The show is bad. I don't know if it was that bad, but the show was pretty bad, though. Pretty mediocre show. That being said, what made it so bad? Just dumb finishes, and some of the matches were just sucked. Joe and Reigns did not need to happen. That match was bland as all hell. No one gave a shit. Roman won, which was completely unnecessary. AJ Nakamura was great. Terrible finish. The tag team match with Strowman, Lashley, Owens, and Zayn, completely pointless. waste of time. Did not do anyone in that match any favors. Charlotte and Carmella sucked. Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss, match was fine, but it was just kind of there for me. Hardy and Orton I thought was good. Didn't really get into it early on because there's really no feud there. They were just both baby faces, but I thought it was a good match. Rollins and Miz killed it, and then like the mid-show segment was a waste of time. Bryan and Cass was mediocre at best. I don't know. I just did not enjoy the show whatsoever, but I would not say it was one of the worst pay-per-views I've ever seen. Definitely wasn't good, but so far it definitely takes the cake as the worst show of 2018. But like I said, for whatever reason, I did not walk away from that show saying like, wow, that show is bad. I just knew it was bad and accepted it. It wasn't like Battleground last year, which was terrible. I don't know, I was angry with that show. This show, I was angry with, but not nearly as angry as I was for like Battleground 2013, or Battleground 2017, or Fastlane 2017, and all these other shows. His next question: what would you think of combining the Raw tag teams of Breezango and Heath Slater and Rhino, and they're allowed to use the Freebird rule? No. I'm all set with that. I don't really know what purpose that would serve or why you would do it. No. His next question: who would you like to see be added to the men's Money in the Bank ladder match from the remaining free spots, and should Bobby Lashley be added to it to set up a Braun Strowman feud? Yeah, I think Lashley will be added next week or the week after, so I'm going to say Lashley, and I think there's 4 spots left, because so far we have Rusev as of SmackDown last night, Miz as of SmackDown last night, and Balor and Strowman as of Raw on Monday. So 4 spots left, 2 from SmackDown, 2 from Raw. I'm going to say Bobby Lashley from Raw and Bobby Roode from Raw. I think Raw can offer all the baby faces, then SmackDown can be all heels. So we already have Rusev and The Miz. I think the remaining 2 should be Samoa Joe, if he's not going for the belt at the next pay-per-view, and I don't think he is, unless it's like a 3-way, but I'm fine with AJ Nakamura one-on-one again. Joe, and then Andrade Almas. I know he's debuting next week, but he should be in the ladder match as well. I think he would be a great fit for that match, even if he doesn't win. He doesn't need to win. I don't think he should win. But yeah, Lashley, Roode, since he teased it anyway last week, Lashley, Roode, Almas, and Joe. And then you can have, Rollins and Jordan on the undercard. You can have Big Cass and Bryan on the undercard. You can have a couple of tag team title matches. And I've seen rumors of like a tag team ladder match. I don't know where that's coming from. I was expecting them to have a tag team ladder match just because we had like promos from like Breezango on Raw this week in the Ascension. But then I heard the club's Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows talking about that in a promo for SmackDown, and they were saying they would be in the WWE Championship or the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, so they can go after the WWE Championship. And the Usos said the same thing. So I'm like, all right, they're not having a tag team ladder match, nor should they. That sounds fucking ridiculous. With like 8 teams, are you kidding me? That sounds like a nightmare. Anyway, his the next question comes from Jeremy B from Facebook as well. What are your thoughts on this? So it was a tweet from at Fred Ricani, Richani. So he tweeted this out on Monday. I saw this when Jeremy first tweeted it, or retweeted it, whatever, and I thought it was interesting. So Fred's tweet was the following: I'm a big Bobby Lashley fan, but he was never a strong babyface. The TNA Lashley shined as an arrogant monster who knew he could beat you up, and there would be nothing you could do about it. Turn him heel and hire MVP to be his mouthpiece. I totally agree. I love that idea. I think Lashley shined as a heel in TNA. I mean, he was a good heel in TNA toward the end, but here's the thing with Lashley. He was a great heel at that point with MVP as his mouthpiece when they were doing the whole Lashley, MVP, and Kenny King stable thing. Lashley was great even then, but Lashley was also good up until he left as a heel, when he was not talking, or when he was talking, but he could talk for himself. Bobby Lashley's he turned into a pretty decent talker in TNA towards the end, without MVP. So he doesn't really need a mouthpiece, but whatever gets MVP back into the fold, I'm in full agreement with. MVP, I don't know if there's much interest in him coming back to be like a Shelton Benjamin type, where he's losing to fucking Jeff Hardy every week. But if they bring him back in a meaningful role as a mouthpiece for Bobby Lashley, I think it would be pretty cool. But I don't think Bobby Lashley needs a mouthpiece, because I think he can talk. If you go back and watch some of his promos from TNA, he can go as a heel not only in the ring but also on the mic. Like dating back to 2016, he really got better as a heel in TNA. So yeah, I'm gonna say yes to that idea, but I also think Bobby Lashley can survive on his own if need be on the mic. Jeremy's second question from Facebook: what are your thoughts on the idea of Seth Rollins being the one to beat Brock Lesnar, only for Roman Reigns to cash in and steal the title, similar to what Seth did at WrestleMania 31? That's a great idea. I do not think Roman's going to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. I know Jeremy was saying that, he's going to beat Jinder to qualify. I don't think they're doing that. I would be surprised. Then why not just have him qualify on Monday? That just seems silly to me. I just think they're doing Roman and Jinder, which is far worse, but it keeps the briefcase out of Roman's hand, so that works. But I do agree with the first part, where Seth Rollins should absolutely be the one to beat Brock Lesnar. I know people are saying Braun Strowman, but we've seen Lesnar and Strowman before. It wasn't very good, and Strowman's had his shot. He's lost like 3 times to Brock Lesnar. Rollins has not gotten a shot at Brock since Brock became champion last year. And they had a fun match for what it was worth back at Battleground 2015 that did not have a finish. So Rollins has never beaten Lesnar, and Lesnar has never beaten Rollins. So I think that'd be a great idea. I like the idea of Roman getting jealous and turning heel on Seth, but how many times have we been pitching a Roman heel turn? Let's just give it up already, because it's not happening. But I do agree that Rollins should absolutely be the one to beat Brock Lesnar for the belt, because he's just super over right now, and he's really, really good. At Johnny NBA from Twitter: how do you see the Bayley-Sasha story playing out? I'm tired of it, and I think they wasted their opportunity to have a WrestleMania match. Now, who the hell cares? I agree. I completely agree. Who the hell could possibly care? I think the match could be good whenever they have it, if they have it. I think at this point, so how do I see the story playing out? I see Bayley and Sasha reuniting to take on the Riot Squad and Money in the Bank. That's how I see it playing out. Not that I care too much about it, but that's what I see happening come Money in the Bank. Unfortunately, I would just rather have one of them go heel, preferably Sasha, have the match, have the feud, and be done with it, but they've just dragged this out for far too long. There does indeed come a point where long-term storytelling is good, but when you drag a feud out for so long with no real payoff, people get very, very, what's the word? Anxious? I don't know if anxious is the word, but fed up, frustrated. They can't wait any longer. So I think they passed that point where they could have done the turn and made it mean something. At this point, no one really cares. I agree. But I do see them teaming up to take on the Riot Squad and probably beating the Riot Squad come Money in the Bank. At Vincent LSR from Twitter, his question was: how am I supposed to believe that Charlotte Flair can beat Ronda Rousey when she just lost to Carmella clean as a whistle? You're right. Well, I mean, she did beat Asuka, and then she lost to Charlotte, or Carmella, clean, like you said, at Backlash. But Charlotte is Charlotte. She's really pretty much bulletproof at this point. You know she'll bounce back. You know she'll get the belt back. Ronda Rousey, I know, is like an unstoppable force right now. But Carmella beating her really doesn't matter. Carmella beating Charlotte, that is. It was a big win for Carmella. It doesn't do much damage to Charlotte. Now, if Charlotte continued to lose to Carmella clean on multiple pay-per-views, then it would do some damage. But Charlotte, she bounces back. She beat Peyton Royce 2 days later. I understand what you're saying, but she's still a threat to Ronda Rousey. I mean, I think, and she can go undefeated for a straight year? That's the issue. Maybe you're saying, she should have been protected in defeat, but it's Charlotte. She's pretty much not unbeatable, but like she's unstoppable. Where like even if you beat her, she still is a top star no matter what, and she still has plenty of credibility. So it really doesn't mean anything. But I understand what you're saying though. At RyCoach27 from Twitter: if NXT had their own Money in the Bank ladder match, who would you put in it and who would win? I mean, honestly, just take the same competitors that were in the ladder match at TakeOver New Orleans. Why not? That to me was like their version of the Money in the Bank ladder match, just except for the North American Championship and not for a briefcase. But if I was to do the same match over and had to be for a briefcase with all the same people, Adam Cole, I think he can just go for the championship without a briefcase. So I would either give it to Velveteen Dream, or probably more logically, EC3. Because with the whole money gimmick and everything else, I think he just works as like a Mr. Money in the Bank type. So, and I think EC3 can be a star like tomorrow. And I think a briefcase could help him get to that championship. NXT does not need their own Money in the Bank ladder match, but theoretically, if they did have one, I think EC3 as Mr. Money in the Bank would make just too much sense to not do. So that's how I would book it. At HBK Kevin 91581, his question was: For someone who is spared by Thanos, thinking of seeing Infinity War for a second time, would you recommend seeing it in a regular screen or big screen, whatever, or in IMAX? Definitely IMAX. Someone told me that the entire movie was filmed in IMAX, like on IMAX cameras. So there is a significant difference. You actually see more of the movie if you see it in IMAX. Nothing really gets cut off. Like, it's not obvious if you see it on a regular screen that, oh my god, I missed that part because it wasn't on the screen because they cut it off, whatever. It's not really a matter of that, but the movie does look a lot better in IMAX. I have not seen it yet in IMAX. That's just what I've heard. But I want to see it in IMAX. I saw it in 3D, which was cool, but on a regular screen at my own movie theater. But I would love to see an IMAX. Just the only issue is that I don't think there's any IMAX around here where I live. Like, not with anywhere within distance where it's, like, worth driving out to. You know what I mean? But if you have the option, definitely go see an IMAX. No question. At Reborn Again, John's first question was, can Roman Reigns be saved with a heel turn, or is he doomed to be the divisive figure in the eyes of wrestling fans? Or to be the divisive figure that he is in the eyes of wrestling fans? You know, we've talked a lot about Roman Reigns. John asks a lot of questions about Roman here on the show. I know John is not a Roman Reigns fan. I'm not a Roman Reigns fan. I like Roman Reigns. But I got to agree, I feel like the more damage they do to this guy, the less likely it is that he can be salvaged. I'm not even sure a heel turn is the answer at this point. That's the problem with Roman Reigns. I think a heel turn is for the best, but I'm not even sure if that would make him the guy. The guy is he's not the fucking guy. Roman Reigns is not the guy. It's very apparent by this point. Doesn't matter who they have him be. Triple H, John Cena, The Undertaker, Brock Lesnar. It doesn't matter. He will never be the guy. People will always react to him the same way they are right now, unless something changes. Nothing has changed to the approach of how they're booking Roman Reigns, and therefore his reactions won't change. If anything, they'll only get worse, which is seemingly impossible. They're already pretty bad in terms of people booing him. But I don't know. I think he's always going to be the divisive figure that he currently is in the eyes of wrestling fans. I really honestly do. I think a heel turn could help, but I'm not sure if it could even save him at this point. I think Roman Reigns could be damaged goods. And they won't turn him heel anyway. So yeah, Roman is he's damaged. He's pretty damaged, very damaged from over the last 3 years of bad booking with this guy. John's second question, just curious, what 3 talents do you think could do better in New Japan Pro Wrestling than they have in WWE? Also, what 3 New Japan talents do you feel would do better in WWE? Is there really anyone in New Japan that you think could do better in WWE? I honestly don't think so. I'm not too familiar with the New Japan product. But let's be real here. If anyone was going to book anyone the way they deserve to be, it's not WWE. We'll just say that right there. I mean, I know they've taken talent from New Japan like Nakamura and AJ, Gallows and Anderson, but they were all stars over in Japan. They were not being buried before they came over. I'm not really sure if there is anyone in New Japan that would be booked any better in WWE than they are in New Japan. But there are a few people in New Japan I would love to see in WWE at some point. You know, Marty Scurll. I know he's in Ring of Honor, but Marty Scurll, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega. Okada, I think, could be a star. I don't think they would use him the right way. So I'm going to say keep Okada in Japan. Who else? I mean, I've always enjoyed Chucky T and Trent Beretta, whatever you want to call them. They've always been great. So, yeah, him. There's a few others as well. You know, Jay White and Zack Sabre Jr. I think would be cool in WWE or NXT, whatever. I don't know if they would be used any better than they are over there, but whatever. I think it'd be cool to see them in WWE, if only to possibly get the push that they deserve. People in WWE I think could be better off in New Japan. Dolph Ziggler, million times over. I think he could follow in the same role, follow in the footsteps as what's his name? As Cody Rhodes, who's been killing it over in Ring of Honor, in New Japan, and everything else. So definitely Cody, or definitely Dolph Ziggler in lieu of Cody Rhodes. Who else? Cesaro. I know he's been a star in WWE. I know he's been a multi-time tag team champion. I think it's pretty evident by this point that he's not going to get above a certain level. So I'm gonna say with Cesaro, I think he can be a big star over in New Japan if they booked him the right way. So yeah, Cesaro, Dolph Ziggler, and Hideo Itami. I know he's been over to Japan before. That's where he came from, obviously, from the wrestling circuit over there. but the guy's been just another loser on 205 Live. They gave him a great video package on Tuesday, but he has not been handled the way that he should have been handled in NXT, in WWE. An injury's got in the way of that, I understand that, but still, it's been very disappointing to see a guy that's healthy just be completely marginalized in WWE and on 205 Live, which has been a better show, but this guy deserves better. So I'm going to say Itami, Ziggler, and Cesaro as WWE talents, and then could be better booked over New Japan. John's last question here. Did the Renee interview with Lashley on Raw just kill his credibility as a babyface, or am I just reading too much into it? I don't know if it killed his credibility as a babyface, but it just was a weird interview. I talked about it before, but it was like, I think just the guy's he's just a much better heel. He's better off as a heel, much more comfortable in that role. So yeah, I don't know, again, if it ruined him. Again, if anything, I think it was a nice little platform to allow him to establish his motivations for being back, who he is, what he's about, and all this other stuff. Again, it didn't hurt him, but I think it could have been better handled. And more importantly, it could hopefully lead to a heel turn. I don't think it is, because it felt a little over the top, to be honest. But that just might be his not so good delivery. So, yeah, I don't think it ruined his credibility as a babyface. But I don't know if it did him too many favors. Again, it's a step in the right direction with him in regards to, we gotta showcase him and all this other stuff, and it's better than not doing anything and just having him just beat Owens and Zayn every week. But still, I do think he would be better off, definitely as a heel. And I don't know if I think that was pretty clear cut in the interview we did with Renee Young on Monday. That, okay, this guy is just not comfortable as a face, at least not right now. He would be better heel. And again, if you don't believe me, watch his TNA work, as the guy was great over there, believe it or not. And our final question of the day comes from @RJ_Marceau. His question was, which of the new NXT women call-ups have the brightest future? So he's got two questions here, the first one being that one. Definitely Ember Moon. I like the Iconic Duo. I do not see them going far at all. They're just kind of a good act to have on the main roster. They're already being more featured on SmackDown than they ever were in NXT. Let's just get that out of the way right now, for the most part. But I do think Ember Moon can be a star, so definitely Ember Moon. Should WWE build up Sonya Deville on SmackDown to have her face Ronda at a Big Four pay-per-view? Now, I know RJ's big bold prediction to me a couple weeks ago was that Sonya goes to SmackDown, gets built up over there to face Ronda Rousey at SummerSlam. Honestly, I don't have any interest. I really don't. I think Sonya's good, but it was so apparent when they stood toe-to-toe in the Raw ring a couple weeks ago, I think at the Superstar Shakeup. Okay, you have a former UFC Bantamweight Women's Champion, and then you have Sonya Deville, who fought maybe 4 times in the Octagon on some New Jersey MMA circuit. It's like night and day. It's like having John Cena face some scrub from the Indies is essentially what the equivalent is. And they're doing the same gimmick, And they have, I don't know, they have Shayna Baszler, they have Ronda Rousey. Sonya is good, but the whole MMA thing is just not working for her because they have women that do it better than her. And they just signed the other 4 horsewomen from the UFC or whatever. Roderick Strong's wife and the other woman. So, really, honestly, no, I don't even know if the match would be any good, to be quite honest. Build her up only to get fed to Ronda Rousey, that honestly does nothing for me. It would be a good win for Ronda, but Sonya is like Ronda Rousey light. Light. She's like a third-rate version of Ronda Rousey. She's good, but she's not Ronda Rousey. And putting them in the ring together will only expose Sonya's weaknesses even more. So anyway, guys, that is episode 232 of #AskGSM here today. Thank you for checking out the show. I appreciate it. If you want to send in a question, tweet me on the Twitter machine @WrestleRant with the #AskGSM. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/graham.gsm.matthews. Leave a comment on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last, but certainly not least, be sure to drop your question on this very video in the comment section down below. I'll include it in next week's edition. So anyway, guys, enjoy the rest of your week. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.